there's only one source, and you are a divine expression of that. This can get really, really simple if you stop approaching this through the logical mind and start to rest in presence. And you will naturally do this when it's time, when you are in vibrational frequency of the message that's being transmitted now. Otherwise, you will click off of this. You will think it's BS. You will find something else to watch where you can give your power away some more to a relationship, to the external world of form, to a new job, to a career, to some identity or label that you think that you need. And that will keep you looping in a cycle of suffering as you continue to give your power away. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, if you're listening to this and you are seeking and you are chasing, I say go all in on it. Go all in on it. There's no need to resist it. Eventually, the seeking and the chasing will be exhausting you. And it is oftentimes the only way you will see that the seeking and the chasing will just perpetuate and continue forever. And you'll be on this hamster wheel of seeking and chasing for the rest of your life. And maybe you need to see that. And you need to chase and seek some more until you're completely exhausted and burned out. And the mind is completely exhausted, which is actually what's happening. And that's totally fine. I was there. My clients were there, especially if you've been activated on this journey by your twin flame, which is just you in another body, and they are here to reflect back to you all of the places that you are still divided within, and also all of the places that you are in union. They are your ultimate mirror, but in truth, we are all mirrors. There is no separation. There is no other on this journey. You are that. You are all of this. All of, and I know this is going to sound annoying to the mind and to the one that is struggling. So I'm going to say this with compassion and empathy because I've been there. All of the limitations in your mind and all of the belief systems and all of the conditioning that tell you you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you need to go find more, do more, be more in order to have more, in order to prove yourself. All of that is a lie and it exists in your mind. The actual person that you think you are is a perception, it's in your mind. And this is not something that can be figured out. It can only be directly experienced and remembered. And so, as I share these words, the mind will be doing a lot of things. It will be triggered, it will be confused, it will be pissed off, it will be fed up, and that's all part of the process. The mind is trying to figure out this entire journey, a parent journey. I'm using air quotes here if you're listening to this on the podcast. This is an apparent journey. And so everything that is unfolding is perfect because it's all going to lead home eventually, regardless of how many more rabbit holes you go down. But right now, as a collective, there is this energy that is very supportive collectively. The collective consciousness has risen to such a frequency where the veil is very, very thin. And it's very easy to be seeing through illusion at this time in human history, in this time space reality that we find ourselves in. Ascension and enlightenment is no longer reserved for monks on mountaintops. There are waves of beings waking up to the truth of who and what they are, and you are one of them, or you wouldn't be listening to this. And this is all divinely designed. There is no wrong or right to where you're at and on this process, this quote unquote process. At the end of the day, the process collapses, the journey collapses. All of the things that you thought you needed to do collapse. One of the images that came to mind before I hit record was of a person that was carrying the canoe on their back. I'm sure this is some metaphor I've probably seen or heard at some point somewhere, but I can't recall it. So I'm not sure where. It was just flashed in my mind's eye, so I'm going to use it. Everything that got you to this point, to go from your survival identity, all of the dramas, all of the traumas, all of the healing, all of the alchemy, that has served as the canoe or the boat that has gotten you from this old version of yourself that served you for up until now, and has gotten you to this new place of being where you are more empowered, you are more aligned, you are more wise, you are strong, you are resilient, you have alchemized a lot on this journey. And this is a never ending thing. There's no end to this journey. That's the other thing. The ego thinks that there's some place to be and there's some place to get, and that you're just going to be able to like put your flag in New Earth and be like, I've arrived. But this is a never ending deepening into the truth of who and what you are. So, what I'm suggesting right now is you're at the pivotal point where you now get to live this quote unquote journey, this journeyless journey, free and sovereign, and play the game of life from a much higher vantage point that is no longer hooked by the conditioning of this wounded identity that you've picked up along the way and believed to be you. And all of the tools and techniques and strategies and everything that have helped you get to where you are now represent this boat that you've been in, this canoe that you've been in. And you're reaching the shore now of your, let's call it your new life, your new earth reality, your divine reality, the next evolution of human consciousness, the next dimension of consciousness that you are here to lead and pioneer. And you're approaching the shores of this new reality. And what you're attempting to do is pick up the canoe and put it on your back, and now you're walking with it, and all it's doing is weighing you down. So everything that you've picked up along the way is not meant to go with you moving forward. Everything, it's no longer necessary. It collapses. All of the tools, all of the techniques, all of the ways you fixed yourself, all the way you've healed yourself, all of the strategies, all of the modalities, all of the things are no longer serving you. They're weighing you down. They are your bottleneck. This is not a journey of you becoming. It was. It felt like it was. It felt like this was a journey of you becoming your most empowered self. And you are empowered as you move into fully embodying your divine feminine essence. And there's nothing wrong with everything that came prior to this in the so called journey, right? In the story of you. It all served a really beautiful purpose, but now it's extra baggage, it's extra weight that's weighing you down that can't go with you into your new earth timeline. So the image that just came to my mind's eye is that of like the 10 or maybe the 9 of like swords, or 9 or 10 of swords, 9 or 10 of wands in the tarot. Really the most important thing here is I love seeing numeral, like working with numerology and numbers and the symbolism that's associated with that. The 9 and 10, it means you've accumulated a lot, and there's a lot of baggage and weight that you're carrying mentally and physically, carrying like there's a lot of burdens that need to be put down. There's a lot of doubts that are weighing you down. There's lingering fears that are weighing you down. There's a lot of mind chatter and story and narrative and commentary from the little mind that is weighing you down. And it's time to set that down. So not only are you setting down the burdens, but you're also setting down the boat that got you here, and all of the tools and the strategies and the techniques and the modalities and everything that got you to where you are now. Because there is no technique to bring you home. You can't get where you've always been and never left. You can't go where you already are. You can't become what you already are. You can only be here now as it. That's it. This is the key. You are the key. You here now is the key to the kingdom. And when you are here now, in divine presence, as the essence that you are, as the presence that you are, not in the mind, not in the separate sense of self, not in the little me trying to figure everything out, but when you are abiding and resting in the divine presence and essence that you are, all of those burdens fall away naturally. And you, for lack of a better word, abide in divine being, the truth of what you are, an expression of the one. It is time to be the one, not become the one, not figure out how to try and get to the one, not try to understand the one, not talk about the one. It's time to fully live as the one. It's time to fully be divinity in human form, here and now. And this means you must set down all of your burdens, all of your worries, all of your fears, all of your doubts, and all of the tools, techniques, strategies, and modalities that you used to fix and heal yourself that got you to where you are now. The eye of the needle is very narrow because only truth can get through. And the truth is, you are already whole, healed, and complete. The truth is, you are the infinite substance of abundance in form. And so is everything else. So, everything that you've been seeking outside of yourself, the divine love, the divine prosperity, the abundance, the safety, the security, you've been seeking it in the world of form. And while you are simultaneously all of that, that is not your true identity, it is a reflection of what you are conscious of being now. And so if your 3D reality is reflecting back things that are rooted in falsehood and untruth, like lack, scarcity, and unworthiness, it is because consciously you are still playing in that paradigm in your mind. There is a story or narrative playing out in the mind that feels very familiar. Feels very familiar. It's very sticky. And it sucks you in. It's very sticky, and it'll suck you in and take you down another rabbit hole, which is fine. There's just the suggestion here that if you've landed here, it's time, if it resonates with you, to set down the swords, set down the burdens, set down the tools and the techniques, and stop trying to never ending heal and fix yourself, and come home to the truth of who and what you are here and now as the one divinely expressed in human form. This is the only way. There's only one, and you are that. There is only one oneness. There is only one God. There is only one source, and you are an extension of that. What do you think is beating your heart right now? What do you think is looking through your eyes right now? What is animating this vessel? It's the same thing that is animating the entire cosmos. The separate human, the me self, the small identity, the small self will think it needs to latch on to the steering wheel in order for things to work out, in order for everything to go as planned. That's what the little mind would love. But have you noticed that that's not working for you? The more you grip, the more you grasp, the more you chase, the more you seek, the more suffering you experience. And that's not going to let up, because if you're listening to this, you're moving into your highest divine reality. You are on an ascension timeline. You are here to lead New Earth and this collective mass shift that we are making into a higher dimension of consciousness that is not rooted in lack and fear based consciousness. So, the more you are operating from fear based consciousness, the more you will suffer. And how do you know you're operating from fear-based consciousness? You are seeking and chasing outside of yourself to try to fill a perceived void that doesn't actually exist, because you haven't yet created the spaciousness to come home to the truth of who and what you are now. And there's no judgment there. That's just part of the journey. I've been there. My clients have been there. The members in Embody the Empress have been there. It's part of the process. There's nothing wrong here. But if you're resonating with this, it's because I am here as a sacred mirror reflecting back to you the truth of who and what you are, and your soul is recognizing it. The divinity within you is recognizing it and remembering it on a level that is prior to the mind. You may be trying to wrap your head around what I'm saying. It is not at the level of mind that you will understand the truth of your nature. And that's actually one of the traps. It's just like that boat that I said many of you have to put down, because you're now attempting to carry the boat that got you to where you are now. Now you're attempting to carry that on your back and carry it all with you as if it's like some never-ending healing journey, and it's not. So that boat that it's time to set down is all of the fixing and the figuring out and the healing and the personal development, all of the things that you think you need in order to become her, become a better version of yourself. That's the 4D. You're transitioning from the 4D fixing, figuring out, healing identity. You are whole, healed, and complete. You are the infinite substance of divine prosperity, abundance, and love. At your core, there is only one source, there's only one God, and you are an expression of that. That is what is animating your being. And when you're in your beingness, which is effortless, which is your most natural state, you will naturally emanate the frequency that you are at your core. And the only thing that will bog down that frequency is you going back into an old identity that's outdated and tethering you to a lower dimension of consciousness, an old paradigm. And I say lower loosely because there does appear to be levels, but in the truth of it all, at the highest level of truth, there's just this, and you are that. But we're here to play the human game, or you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have incarnated on planet Earth right now, and you wouldn't be watching this right now if you weren't here to play the human game. What I'm suggesting is it's time to play the human game at the highest level, with you fully embodied in your truth and divinity. No longer playing small and giving your power away, because God doesn't play small. You are that in human form. And the portal to access this is you here and now, grounded in your sacred neutral presence, which sounds very effing boring to the mind that is constantly chasing the next dopamine hit or high, or the next relationship or thing or symbol of the world that it thinks it needs in order to fill a perceived void. At the end of the day, all of the techniques, all of the tools, all of the modalities, all of the stories, all of the narratives, all of that collapse into one thing that is the key to the kingdom, and that is your knowing. Your knowing. And it's not your knowing from a personal sense, it's knowing that you are that you are all of this. Be still and know. It is through the stillness and the silence that you will receive all of the clarity. It is not through language. It is not through words. That is rooted in the dualistic mind. I can say more things and they will maybe bring another level of understanding, which can be valuable only to a degree. And then it becomes that boat that you start carrying on your back and becomes a bottleneck because this is beyond the mind. And what happens actually in most cases when people resonate and jump into my programs, they are stuck in the conceptual understanding bubble, I like to call it. You were stuck in the conceptual understanding bubble, and I get it. I was there. So this conceptual bubble of understanding is where a lot will hang out for a long time, and it'll be very frustrating because they will conceptually understand this, but it won't be their lived experience. They will be able to teach it and talk about it, but it won't be their experience, and they will be using oneness or presence as some kind of like spiritual tactic or manipulative tool in order to push the personal egoic agenda. That won't work here. That won't work here. I know because I've tried it. I've tried everything that I'm sharing here with you. I've been through this and it's deepening and deepening over time. And so I'm here to share with you that there is one way, which should be, which sounds very annoying, but at the same time, it's very simple because you're already here. You're already this. You're already here. You don't have to do anything to get here. You can't become this. You can only be here now. And if there was any directive that I would give right now to someone who's listening to this and can feel the resonance of the message that I'm sharing, and maybe it doesn't make sense, is recognize when you are being hooked by the little mind. The little mind is rooted in duality, separation consciousness, fear based consciousness, and it will always be selling you a story of lack or fear or unworthiness somehow. And that little mind is hypnotizing you into believing that you are the small, separate self. And that's, again, there's nothing wrong. That's just part of this process. There is an addiction almost to the little mind. Most people are addicted to the little mind that is constantly narrating in your head and hooked into a story or a narrative. We had a call the other day on Embody the Empress, and let me take a sip of this. And talking about, one of the members was sharing what was going on in the mind, and it was the egoic mind was arguing with itself. Maybe you can relate to this where you have some kind of narrative or story, and you're being sold some untruth about your limitedness, your, lack or scarcity or unworthiness or lack of well-being somehow. And then your mind gets in an argument with that, and you're going back and forth with, and you're literally, the mind is arguing with itself. It will attack itself. And that can feel very uncomfortable when the mind starts to even attack itself and you're caught in this like vicious loop. And so there's different degrees of this, for lack of a better word, depending on where you're at in your embodiment and remembrance of the truth of who and what you are. But if you're listening to this, you've always remembered to some degree. You've never fully forgotten. Like a lot of beings on this planet have fully forgotten their truth, and they only see the physical world as the truth of reality and they take everything at face value. You are an ancient soul. if you're listening to this, there's always been a level of remembrance within you. That is why you have always gravitated to things that are maybe more spiritual, or and you've opted out of a lot of the societal norms and conditioning. It's because you have seen on a deeper level, not through the physical human eyes, even though you still got duped by the matrix and all of that, which is part of the journey, which was part of the unfolding, which is part of your purification and your alchemy. There's always been an inner knowing that is prior to the mind, that has been running under the radar of the little mind and has been guiding you. It's time to trust what you know to be true. The knowing is you. The knowing is your compass. And not knowing in a sense like you have to know everything out about how everything works, or even know, this is paradoxical, and that's okay, because that's just what happens. You actually know less and less on this journey. You know that you don't know, and that actually becomes the highest level of knowing, when you don't need to know. That's not the knowing that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the inner knowing, the soul knowing, that's guiding you like an inner compass. Because the experience here is, which I can only speak from direct experiences, there's an inner knowing that's been guiding this entire incarnation through the experience of the story of Sarah that's been playing out. There's been an inner knowing that's calling. There's a pull, there's a call. And not, this is very much for those that are here to uplift humanity, and you know you've had this calling or sacred mission of some kind to make an impact, not to save the world, not to heal everybody on the planet. Like, that is a natural byproduct of you coming home to the truth of who you are. But at this stage of the game, there is no savior complex. There's just knowing that the frequency of you is meant to be shared. The frequency of you is meant to be felt. The frequency of you is meant to make ripples through the quantum and resonate with beings that are within vibrational resonance and frequency or proximity of you. Um, so the inner knowing is like, it's, you can't grasp it. You can't figure it out. It's not logical. It's not of the mind. It's time to trust that. When you are fully anchored in your beingness, there is no need to know anything. And that's not the same knowing that I'm talking about. So I hope this is making sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense. I'm trying to articulate this paradox. For, let me use an example. Like, when you are no longer living, this might be a good pointer for it. When you're no longer living in the conceptual world that is full of labels and everything that the mind uses to try to compartmentalize and make sense of stuff, which there's nothing wrong with using labels. That's how we can communicate, right? But when you're no longer living from the mind and the conceptual reality, which kind of like overlays the truth, and you're living from being, and you're not jumping into identification with the mind and in the story and the narrative, it's an unknowing. There is no need to know. It's an unknowing. And you just have direct experience with reality itself. Like, for example, if you're taking a walk and there's a tree, you just experience the tree, but you're not constantly living in the labels and the narrative of seeing the tree. And if you truly abide there, you don't know what the fuck that tree is. There's just labels that we've used to describe this unknowable mystery. So I hope that's resonating, at least on nonverbal level. Maybe it's clicking or resonating. So there's this great unknowable mystery that no longer requires labeling to try to figure it out. And you just get to directly experience life instead of living from the conceptual understanding of it, where the mind is constantly trying to fix and figure out everything and know the entire story and where it's going and how it's going to unfold and the outcomes and all the things. So there's that. But then when I refer to inner knowing, think of it as like an inner standing. It's your intuition, it's your divine guidance that is your compass that's guiding you. And it's time to trust that inner knowing. You can trust that inner knowing. And in fact, that is the message right now that's coming through the strongest. I'm getting blasted with ones and twos right now. And we're moving into this energy right now as we collectively wind down this 9 year of endings and moving into 2026, which is going to be wild. You can come save this video and come back and tell me about it because I'll be here for it. I'm here for it. I'll be sharing about it. And for those that are moving into this first wave of new earth humans, it's going to be wild. We're moving into whole new beginnings. You're not going to be able to play small or hide. Fully expressed in your divinity is what is being asked of you now. Fully expressed in your truth is what is being asked of you now on a soul level. That is what wants to be experienced through you, is your divine expression. And the message of embracing this new beginning and fully trusting in the knowing beyond what the mind says is logical or makes any sense, because you're moving into heart centered creation and living in reverse of everything that you've ever known to be true about who you are, what you are, and how reality works. It's not going to make sense to the mind. You're being asked to trust the inner knowing, the inner standing that is so embedded in your DNA, in your bones. Like this remembrance, this knowing is what you incarnated with. It's here to guide you, and it's time to fully trust it. Despite what the 3D world is reflecting back, that is an echo of the old identity, the old paradigm that you are shifting out of. If you happen to find this before 11:11 at midnight, I'm just throwing out there a bonus that I released yesterday or the day before. It's very short notice, but if you're here and you've landed here and this resonates with you, through 11:11 at midnight, so that will be tomorrow at the time of this, at the time that I'm recording this. So a little more than 24 hours, you can receive, if you are called to lead and step into full on sacred feminine leadership and share your message and your gift with the world, speak your truth, show up fully authentically divinely expressed, and you know you're here to lead and you're ready to move into 2026 into these amazing new beginnings and let the old karmic closures close out and fully quantum shift into your highest divine reality. Rise Sister Rise is my 13-week initiation, which would carry you through all the way to like mid February or something right now. And right now, until 11:11 at midnight, you will also get a full year access to Embody the Empress, which is my membership that has weekly calibration and integration calls every single week. And you get a full year of that, which will carry you all the way until November 2026. So after Rise Sister Rise completes, you still have ways to integrate and anchor in and deepen into what is being activated within you as you move through 2026. And that is a huge value. So if you're interested in that and you have any questions, you can DM me the word rise on Instagram at spiritual CEO, and I can answer any questions. Aside from that, the link is available wherever you're listening to this. I'm not sure if it's going to be on the podcast before tomorrow, or I'm not sure about that. But if you're listening to this on YouTube, most likely you still, if you listen to this before midnight at 11:11, it's still available. So I think that's it. That's all the housekeeping. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I hope this finds you well, and Namaste.